It is Thursday, April 24th. This is the Daily Octane. So, over the course of the last few videos that I've made, on several occasions, I've mentioned the word oligarchy. You've probably heard it in the news. If you've caught any of the Bernie Sanders and AOC tour, they are talking about it all the time. Oligarchies have been around for a very long time. The most current example of an oligarchic takeover of a country or a nation is obviously Russia. Is a perfect example of an oligarchy. And sad to say, we're seeing it here in the United States as well. So if you've had any confusion about what an oligarchy is, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're a libertarian or an independent, or you don't really care about politics. Perhaps you're just a little confused about what you're hearing in the political space, specifically in the economic political space. Let's have a conversation about what an oligarchy is. So according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, as you can see right here, an oligarchy has a couple of different meanings. Number one here, it is a government by the few. Number two, it's a government in which a small group exercises control, especially for corrupt and selfish purposes. I see also a group exercising such control. Three, an organization under oligarch control. Okay, so how does this apply to our government currently? Well, we've actually been moving in this direction for a number of years. The corporate influence, as well as individual, high-powered, really wealthy donors, have been influencing our elected officials for decades. Some of the big names that you've probably heard, if you're afraid of the boogeyman and you're on the right, you've heard of George Soros. If you are afraid of the boogeyman and you're on the left, you've heard of the Koch brothers. But oligarchs are more than just them. The current example, the best example right now in our current political sphere is Elon Musk. What you get are incredibly wealthy billionaires, heads of large corporations that take in billions and billions and sometimes maybe close to $1 trillion, like Apple, Microsoft, Boeing. These companies that have incredible need of the federal government to give them business have been working to influence the government. Now, it started years ago with the lobbies, the beef industry and the grain industries, farming industries, steel industries, the fuel and fossil fuel and other oil industries, all of those, and even companies that are doing good things like wind farms and solar. These companies have been influencing through donations, through campaign contributions, into influencing politicians in order to vote the way that they want. What we haven't seen a lot of is the really powerful dictatorial influence like we've seen in this past election cycle with Elon Musk. Now, this was essentially allowed several years ago when the Supreme Court made a decision on a case called Citizens United, in which the Supreme Court asserted the idea that a corporation is a person. In other words, because a corporation is made up of shareholders and people that are working for that corporation, they have a right to political influence, the same way as any other person should. The problem comes, and I want to be very careful about making this too long of a video because my last few have been very long. The problem comes when they can basically donate unlimited amounts of funds. Now, an individual campaign, say, for example, I'm running for office. Doesn't matter if I'm running for state, local election, or if I'm running for Congress, or if I'm running for the presidency. If I'm running for election, I am limited by the amount of donations that I can take from businesses, from individuals. It doesn't matter. The caps are usually somewhere around the $5,000 range, right, for a given campaign cycle. That's not a fixed number. It varies by where you are and a number of different factors. But regardless, what's come up over the last several years are political action committees. These are otherwise known as PACs. You've probably heard that name before. And they'll come up with weird names, Patriots for Donald Trump, or whatever. There's all kinds of them out there. But these organizations they can buy advertising time. So they can do national ads, they can do newspaper full page ads, they can pay for mailers, all of these things on behalf of the candidate, but not actually working directly with the candidate. So you might see this as paid for by so-and-so foundation or friends of so-and-so or whatever the case may be. It's hard to tell sometimes when you're looking at political information, was this paid for by the campaign themselves, or was it paid for by a political action committee? It's hard to say. But what happens with the political action committees is they don't have to reveal who their donors are. So in theory, Elon Musk, and I'm not saying this, I don't want to be held in liable or slanderous or whatever the case may be, but somebody like Elon Musk, or let's just say John Doe, right? John Doe could donate $10 million to a political action committee or start his own. He could start his own political action committee on behalf of me. So if John Doe wanted me to win the presidency and wanted to influence the election by injecting $50 million into advertising to get me elected. And we know that, you can't be a complete garbage candidate, but if you're even a decent candidate, generally whoever spends more than their opponent is going to win. So Elon Musk steps into the campaign at the very end, back in October, and starts dumping boatloads of money into getting Donald Trump elected. And it happens. So this is how oligarchs take control. So when a campaign or an elected official who wins their election because of the assistance of large amounts of campaign donor money going into these political action committees, these elected officials are ultimately beholden to the money that got them there. This has been going on for a long, long time. I mean, even on individual campaigns, you'll often find that, congressional members or even presidents will often take care of their high donors. The people that have always given them money along the way, the people they can always count on, they'll get favors. Sometimes it's just, nepotism, or sometimes it's some, shady government dealings and getting contracts and all that. That stuff has been going on for as long as any of us have been alive, and it will continue to go on. You'll just never get rid of that. The problem comes when that money is unlimited. And so while you have Elon Musk giving this much money to Donald Trump, then he ends up getting enormous contracts for SpaceX from the federal government. That kind of quid pro quo becomes problematic. It becomes increasingly problematic when certain corporations or certain individuals start to dictate policy that infringes upon the rights and the liberties of other Americans. And when they're pushing to have total control over what happens. I mean, when you think about what could happen with somebody with fossil fuel interest decides to dictate policy for the United States through that money that they donated to a campaign through a PAC. So this is what we're fighting about. So when you see things like Bernie Sanders or AOC going on national tours and getting 30, 35,000, 40,000 people in arenas and at these large outdoor venues in really red states, it's because they're speaking specifically against this oligarchic takeover of the United States. Now, these oligarchs come in, they are incredibly wealthy individuals. The best thing for them is to reduce taxes. We saw it in the first Trump presidency, and now we're seeing it again, where they are demanding huge tax cuts, and they want to pay for it by gutting Social Security. Billionaires don't benefit from Social Security, so that if they can reduce Social Security, clear up some national debt, and then allow that national debt to be transferred into lower taxes for the ultimate wealth or the most high-end wealthy Americans, you see where this becomes problematic. I'm sure you've, traveling across the United States, you can probably see how bad our roads are. I apologize for the noise from my dog. You can see how bad the roads are. You can see how bad our bridges are. You can see how bad our electrical infrastructure is, our gas infrastructure is, our water infrastructure is. Whereas every Republican president for the last 30 years has passed 40 years, has passed major tax cuts that benefit the ultra wealthy and hurt everyday Americans. So why aren't we winning wholesale on this idea? Well, I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow, but it's because Democrats are just as bad as Republicans when it comes to taking this donor money. And that is because of Citizens United. So we're going to talk about that some more tomorrow. I wanted to post a shorter video. The one I posted a couple days ago, I did not post yesterday if you've been keeping track, but the video I posted yesterday or 2 days ago was 28 minutes long, probably a little bit too long. I think right around this 10-minute range where I'm at right now is probably the best thing to do. Here's what I would like for you to do. If you could work along with me on this, I would like some comments. Tell me what you think about oligarchies. What do you know? What did I say that doesn't seem truthful? What did I say that maybe resonates with you? What are your thoughts on Citizens United? This is the kind of information I would like to have. In addition, if you've got topics that you would like me to talk about, leave those in the comments. I'm always looking for ideas for videos. Like I said, I don't want to make this a daily slam on what's happening with the Trump regime. I really want to talk about the ideas that may be nuanced in a way where even the right, maybe even MAGA voters, are open to hearing some of the things that I have to say. I don't want this to be a left versus right thing. I think that the left, those of us in the lefty spaces, not politicians, but those of us that exist in a more progressive mindset, I think we have ideas that can appeal to everybody. It's just the messaging that's gotten bad. So if you're finding me for the first time, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I've gotten a lot of views on a couple of these videos, and less than 20% of my views, actually even less than that, are subscribers. So please subscribe to the channel. It helps make sure that YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you're finding me, it makes sure that those algorithms kind of push my content. Liking the video helps as well. Comments really go a long way. Any kind of engagement that you can do. And if you really like what I'm doing, and if you want to watch me and help me build this channel up, share this. Share this to your social media feeds, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, Blue Sky, wherever you're finding me, and share that out there. I really would like to build an audience and make a go at this, because I think I got some good ideas that I want to share and maybe influence some people that possibly voted for Donald Trump and make sure that we can kind of save our democracy. So thank you for watching the Daily Octane. I'm Christopher Hess. I will catch you on another episode probably tomorrow, and make sure you realize too, I've got the Christopher Hess podcast. I think I'm going to record the first couple episodes this weekend, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.